Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sleeping with the Numbers Prop Talk. I'm going to be filling out some of these prop lineups here on Monkey Knife Fight. You can follow along if you want. I'm going to go through a few different game types, a few different slates. If you want to play Monkey Knife Fight, use our link. You'll get your first deposit matched up to $100 instantly. So if you deposit $100, they give you $100. Now you got $200 to play on Monkey Knife Fight instantly. So go ahead and check that out. It will be in our description. So the first, probably my favorite game mode they have here on Monkey Knife Fight is this touchdown dance. And what I like doing with these touchdown dance game modes is you do it for the full slate, so either the early slates or the afternoon slates, and they usually do a bonus offer where not only if you hit your goal you get your prize payout, but if every single one of your players gets a touchdown, you get a share of like a $5,000 jackpot or something like that. So everyone else who gets that, they get a share as well. It's usually nothing major, but it's a nice little bonus you can get if each one of your players scores a touchdown. So for this early slate of games, let's take a look at who we got here. So what's nice about these things is you are competing against really yourself or the line, however you want to think of it. And we don't have to worry about like projected ownerships or anything like that like we do with DraftKings or any DFS format. And that allows us to take all the chalk we want. So, Derrick Henry, come on, that's a lock. We can easily pop him in here. Julio's hurt. A.J. Brown's hurt. It's going to be the Derrick Henry show against the Jets. So absolutely give me him. And there's no salary cap. You can have whoever you want. The only rules here are you have to draft 3 players from at least 2 different teams. So I couldn't take all Saints. I couldn't take all Chiefs. I'm sure people would like to do that, but that's really the only constraint here for this game. So I'm going to take Derrick Henry. I think it's going to be him and really no one else. For these touchdown things, you also, of course, want to score or shoot for those high-scoring games. So we talked about them before on the DFS show. Rams, Cardinals, that'll be the next one. Chiefs and Eagles, that's another high-scoring one. So if we're shooting for those, if Vegas is expecting a lot of points scored and we have our players in those, there's a good chance your guy's going to get a touchdown. So give me Derrick Henry. I like him. Kamara is another good one I might take. Kelsey, high-scoring game, lots of targets. Easily can take him here, and I probably will. Just going through the rest of these, there's no one really that stands out to me. And like I said, there's no reason not to take players that everyone will probably take. It doesn't matter in these types of lineups. So I'm going to take Travis Kelce here as well. I think he's good for a touchdown. I think the Chiefs come back hard in this game and put up a lot of points, and there's a good chance that he gets some of them. Now for my final player, I'm curious who I want here. So David Montgomery has Detroit. That's a pretty good opportunity there, but I don't like Chicago. Zeke has Carolina. I think Carolina's defense is pretty solid, but Zeke is also a stud. Lamb, maybe. Clyde has a good opportunity as well, but I don't want to, cap myself if I'm shooting for the sky here. If I have both Kelsey and Clyde, you can't score on the same play, so I'm not going to do that to myself if I'm trying to rack up, a ton of touchdowns here, because I'm going for the big one. Give me that big line. I really like DeAndre Swift, and I might take him here. Who does Cleveland plays Minnesota? Chubb's always good for a touchdown as well. Cook should be back. I don't know how healthy he is, but he should be back. Against Cleveland. Cleveland has a good defense. That might be a little more difficult for him, even though he'll get the opportunities. I think I am going to go with Swift here. I think Goff likes to dump down to him, and they're in this division matchup, which should be a bit closer. I think they're 3-point underdogs at the moment. I think he'll get a lot of work. So that's going to be my 3 players: Derrick Henry, Travis Kelce, and DeAndre Swift for the early set of games here. And then again, if you're new to Monkey Knife Fight, this is how it works. We picked our players. Now you can pick a goal. So you can have a goal of 2.5 3.5, or 4.5, and they each pay out differently. So and you can only pick one. So if I pick, the 2.5 goal, if these guys combine for 3 touchdowns, I get 1.5 times my buy-in, and you can pick anywhere from $2 to $250. So for this one, I want to go big for these guys. Derrick Henry can get 2 on his own. Kelsey can get 1. Swift could get 1. That's what we're going for here, and that's 4. I think that would be here, but fuck it, we'll go for the 4.5. So 5 touchdowns between these guys. That would be great. All right, I'm going to do another touchdown dance here. I'm going to shoot for my share of that prize pool, and this is going to be for the afternoon game. So a couple other matchups we got here: Green Bay, Pittsburgh, LA, Arizona, Seattle, San Francisco. And I mean, we already talked about these games that we think are going to be high scoring. Give me Cooper Kupp. You got to put him in here for that matchup. Next, the Arizona Cardinals. So the Cardinals are a little bit more difficult if you're trying to predict who's going to get the touchdown. You would think Hopkins is probably the most likely to get this touchdown. I just think Kyler has been doing a good job at spreading the ball around. Also, Hopkins is going to be shadowed this game. And in the past, when he is shadowed by Jalen Ramsey, he's been able to limit him pretty good. So I don't think Hopkins is going to be my guy here. Looking at what else we got here, Davante Adams is always good for a touchdown. So I'm going to take Davante against Pittsburgh. Not going to be the highest scoring game most likely, but Davante Adams, if I had to, if I had to guess probability for who's the most likely to get a touchdown out of this whole lineup, it is probably Davante Adams in my mind. And then for the final one, I really like Najee as a human, as a football player, as a Steeler, and I think he's like the only one that can really do anything on this offense at the moment. So he's in consideration. I don't really want any Seahawks. I don't really want Debo, Mark Andrews. No. Yeah, looking through the rest of these, the probability of a touchdown just kind of keeps going down. So I'll do it. I'm going to go with Najee here. So we're going to have Najee, Cooper Kupp, Davante Adams. And again, same exact thing here. You pick a goal, you get paid out a certain amount. Pick whatever goal you want. If you want to play it safe, going only for the 2.5, that's absolutely fine. I did that when I was getting used to these game formats. I was always going for this lower end goal post, and that was fine. They were winning. Whatever. Who cares? 1.5 times payout. It's all profit. It's all profit. Take it. $2. Who cares? Like I said, it's all profit. Play with what you can, and if you don't have money to kind of throw around, don't do it. I really want to stress that. We're not here to make people make bad bets or anything like that. This is all for fun. So another thing you can do on Monkey Knife Fight is this game mode called Rapid Fire. And as you can see at the top here, there's a lot of different ones. And I chose the biggest one, 5 out of 5. So I need to get all 5 of these right to win 20 times my buy-in. So you can do these on individual games. So I picked a game here, Carolina at Dallas. I think it's going to be a good back and forth game. So that's why I chose it. And here you can see for Rapid Fire, they have a few different things. So there's Rapid Fire for fantasy points, which is what I'm going to be doing here. But I can also click just normal Rapid Fire. And that goes passing yards, rushing yards, receiving receptions, rather than fantasy points. But personally, I think I'm better at fantasy points, so that's why I'm playing this mode. And what it is it's pretty much head-to-head. Well, that's exactly what it is, actually. So you are giving 5 columns, we'll call it, and you have to choose between 2 players for who's going to get more fantasy points. If you get all 5 right, you get 20 times your buy-in. Easy enough. Well, easy enough to play, harder to win. So starting with the first column here, Dak or Sam Darnold. And you can see here on Darnold, so for the underdogs, they give some bonus fantasy points here. So whatever Darnold scores fantasy-wise, give him another 4.5. If that's more than Dak, Sam Darnold wins. If it's not, Dak wins. Simple math. But in this lineup, I do expect the Cowboys to come out and win this game. I don't think Carolina is a bad team. I do like Sam Darnold a lot. I just don't think they've really had a challenge, and that's what Dallas is going to do to them. So give me Dak. I think he'll have a lot of passing touchdowns, so a lot of passing yards. Darnold has the opportunity to always run in a touchdown. He's been doing it. But I'm going to take Dak in this matchup. So next matchup here between the wide receivers for each team, we got DJ Moore and CeeDee Lamb. And I'm a little surprised that DJ Moore is the underdog here. He's getting a bonus half point. And just to note, this is full point PPR, so exactly like DraftKings. So give me DJ Moore. I just think he's going to get hammered with targets in this game, where I expect Carolina to be playing from behind, and Darnold likes to throw to DJ Moore. And like I said, this is full point PPR. All those catches add up. So I'm going to take DJ Moore, and it's nice that he gets that bonus half a point here against CeeDee Lamb. So these next few, they're actually between the same team. So fantasy points, Zeke or Amari Cooper. Zeke is getting an extra half point here. Now, Cooper didn't really do much the last game. He didn't really have to. They kind of just worked the Eagles quite a bit. But I think Zeke is getting back into it. He's showing who he is and who we knew he was, and kind of shoving away that doubt from Tony Pollard, kind of taking over the gig. It is going to be a shared workload, but Zeke is getting something like 70% of these carries compared to Tony Pollard. So I think both of them have a good game here, but I am more of a fan of Zeke. I think he's going to have more opportunities than Cooper. I think Dak is going to be able to spread the ball out to Lamb, to Cooper, to Schultz, Jarwin. But in the run game, of course, Zeke's going to get a ton of touches, and that's really what I want here. So I'm going to take Zeke on this one. This next one, super easy. I'm taking Chuba over Robbie. Robbie hasn't done a damn thing all season. So give me Chuba. I don't know what these... He looks like a maniac in this thing. He looks like something from a Key and Peele skit. Either way. And then finally here, Tony Pollard or Terrence Marshall Jr. Tony has been getting it done quite a bit. I think Marshall can have a presence in this game. I think they will have to throw the ball, like I said. I just think the vast majority of that is going to go to DJ Moore. So I'm going to take Pollard here as well. So it looks like I took the top for every single one here. But either way, with this game mode, all you have to do is pick your buy-in here. Instead, you don't set a line. It is always going to be 20 times your buy-in. So no matter what you put in, if you put in 250, you can win 5,000 if you get all of these right. So that's how rapid fire works. It's just another option for a game mode here on Monkey Knife Fight. So I wanted to do another rapid fire here, but this time not with the fantasy points. So I chose another matchup that I really like this week with the Rams and the Cardinals. And so it's going to be very similar. For this one, we only have to get 4 of 4 instead of the 5 of 5. So that means your payout is going to be lower. So for this one, for 4 of 4, you need, if you get all 4, you get 10 times your buyout. So here we're going to do this, not fantasy points this time. It's going to be passing yards, receiving yards, and receptions. So looking at this matchup, so with a passing yard, so Kyler does have more passing yards than Matthew Stafford, which I was a little surprised to see. So Kyler, in his past 3 games, he's thrown for 316, 400, and 289, where Stafford... Oh, there we go. Perfect. I got a little QB comparison here. So Kyler's been throwing 335 per game. Stafford's been throwing 314. And again, we have a bonus here for Kyler for passing yards with 26.5. That is interesting. So we expect the Rams to be winning this game. I think they're 5-point favorites. Let me just make sure real quick. 4.5. 4.5-point favorites. So you don't expect them to have to throw the ball that often, but they're going to because they're the Rams and they have the ability to do that. Where I think the Cardinals will be playing from behind, meaning they're going to have to throw quite a bit more. And Kyler's been getting it done, and those bonus passing yards make me want to take Kyler. And I think that's what I'm going to do. At a first glance, I'm like, Stafford. Stafford's going to throw way more than Kyler, because when you think about them, Kyler's that dual threat quarterback. He can throw, but he also runs. And when you have a quarterback who can do both, it's going to limit the amount of passing yards they're getting. But Kyler is really coming into his own. Every single year I see him improving, and I love him. He's a fantastic football player. Finally, a number 1 overall pick. That's kind of worth it. But with this improved passing ability and it being in a game that they should be down for most of it, and again, with the bonus 26.5 passing yards, I'm going to take Kyler in this one. So going to receiving yards, this one is a bit close. If we were talking about this last year, it's going to be DeAndre Hopkins all the way. But he's a little banged up at the moment. They are giving him 20.5 bonus receiving yards here. But if we compare these two guys, so Hopkins receiving yards, it hasn't been good. So his most receiving yards came week 1 against Tennessee with 83. 2 weeks ago, 54. Last week, again, he was banged up, 21 yards. Where Kupp, we all know this story, 96, 163, 108. So even with that bonus 20.5, I'm way more comfortable taking Cooper Kupp to get more receiving yards than DeAndre Hopkins. So going into these next categories, they're both going to be receptions, Robert Woods and Rondale Moore. So these are kind of the background players here. Rondale Moore is getting an extra 1.5 receptions added on here. Woods, we know, has not been as involved because of Cooper Kupp, obviously. So taking a look at what they have done, we have Robert Woods getting 3 receptions, 5 receptions, 3 receptions, where Rondale Moore, I think he's a lot more boom bust. So where is he at? Rondale Moore, game log, 2 receptions, 7 receptions, 4 receptions. So so completely disappeared last week. So I think on average, that kind of puts them at about the same in terms of reception. So this is a tougher one for me. I think Kirk is the wide receiver 2 here in Arizona. So if Hopkins is getting shadowed, it's going to be Kirk getting the passing work. AJ Green is also there. There's just a lot of places Kyler can go to spread this ball around. On the Rams side, like we said, it's all Cooper Kupp. But if the Cardinals decide to completely just cover Cooper Kupp, that might give Robert Woods a bit more opportunity to get some catches here. And I think he is more of the possession type of player, where Rondale Moore is kind of the all or nothing guy. So I think I lean Woods here, and that's what I'm going to go with. And then next year with the receptions, that one's easy for me. I'm taking Tyler Higbee over AJ Green. AJ Green's a dart throw. Yeah, he had a great, really past 2 weeks he's been pretty good, but he is still a dart throw in this offense, which I'm willing to do in DFS. But in these types of games, I'm playing the probability game, and that's going to be Higbee here. He looked great last week. I think he'll do well again this week. All right, and I want to end this episode with some big, massive game mode. So if you go to either the early slate or the afternoon slate, there is a more or less where you have to pick 10 for 10. If you get 10 for 10, you get 500 times your buy-in. So I'm going to run through these. We'll see what I think, and maybe I can help people win some money here. So First, we got the early slate of games, starting with Patrick Mahomes. Over or under 310 and a half passing yards. So this is against the Eagles, and the Eagles have allowed, they're actually the fifth best. They have only allowed 181.7 passing yards per game. How much do I care about that? Not much, because, it's Patrick Mahomes. It's the Chiefs. Yeah, they have not looked great, but they're going to get back on track. They're getting 306 passing yards a game on the Chiefs side, so they're not getting that many. So let me look at Mahomes again here. So he's getting 313 yards a game, which barely puts him over that 310 mark. This is supposed to be a higher scoring game. Maybe it goes back and forth and Mahomes has to keep chucking the ball. 310 yards. Let me just look at his last few here. 260, 343, 337. So the only time he did not get over 310 was against the Chargers. I think the Eagles' defense is a little less than the Chargers, so I'll do it. I'll take the more than 310 and a half. Next one here, Josh Allen taking on Houston. Can he get more or less than 289 and a half passing yards? So he's getting 269 a game, so that is under that. I also think he has a super easy matchup where he is not going to need to throw the ball that much. So that one's a little easier for me. I'm going to be taking the less. Derrick Henry has a matchup against the Jets. Like I said before, it's going to be the Derrick Henry show. The Titans are missing like all of their wide receivers. And let's see. He's averaging 26 carries a game for 117.7 rush yards per game. So, man, it's hard not to take him here. So 113, 182, which of course gives a little bit, it's a little bit of an outlier. It's hard to call that an outlier for Derrick Henry, but I feel like it is. Oh, man, the Jets front really isn't that bad. I understand the Jets as a whole are terrible, but their front line on the defense is not terrible. He's getting 4.41 a carry. He's getting a ton of carries. He gets 26 carries a game. Man, I hate to do it, but I do lean towards the less in this game. Next guy we got here, we got my boy Travis Kelce, over under 95 and a half receiving yards. So if I'm taking the more for Patrick Mahomes, those passing yards got to go somewhere. And who else would they go to besides Travis Kelce? Hill has kind of been out of it. So in his past two, 104, 109, it was only week one against Cleveland where he got 76 under that 95 and a half mark. So give me more for Travis Kelce. I think the Chiefs come out slinging and he will see a lot of work. Now for Dak, again, I expect them to win this game. I think that might require Dak to throw quite a bit. So if we're looking here, Dak is throwing for 292.7 a game. In his last three, he's gone 238, 237, 403. So that 403 is really that big outlier that's bringing this number up. So he's only 1 for 3 going over that 285 and a half. So even though I expect him to throw it, they also have a fantastic run game that means he's not going to have to throw it that often. So I think, again, it's going to feel more like a psychological thing where you're like, oh, yeah, he's going to be throwing the ball a ton. He's definitely going to get more. I don't know if he'll necessarily need to, right? If they're winning the game, they're currently 4-point favorites. I expect them to pass early to get this lead, but once they do, maybe it's just Zeke and Pollard the rest of the game. So I'll take the less here. So Diggs, I'm expecting less passing yards from Josh Allen. So, of course, if Josh Allen is getting not as many expected passing yards, Diggs isn't going to get as many receiving yards. And he's been kind of quiet lately, too. In his last 3, he's gone 62, 60, 69, all under. And they really haven't needed him, and I don't think they're going to need him in this game either. So I'm taking the less. And then we got possibly the most, at least, pure run talented running back in the league. Nick Chubb is taking on the Vikings. He's averaging 87.3 yards per game, which is slightly above this line of 83.5. So in the last 3, he's gone 84, 95, 83. So that's a perfect line for him, I think. With Minnesota, it is expected to be a closer matchup. They are currently minus 1.5 point favorites. So they're going to have to stay in it here. The Browns are the best in the league at chewing up that clock with their run game. So I expect Chubb to, again, get a lot of work. He's getting, what do we got, only 16 carries a game. I guess because they can split it with Hunt. So, well, he's just so efficient. He's getting 5.46 yards per carry. Wow. So Nick Chubb, let me just take a look here again. He does not, well, we don't care about the passing work. He got 22 attempts last week against Chicago. If they're trying to run out the clock in a closer matchup, I really like it, but that line is just perfect. I'm going to take the more, but this one is the closest that it's been on this slate. Next one, we got Kirk. Same matchup with Chubb going against the Browns, 284.5 passing yards. He's averaging 306 a game. In his last 3, he's thrown for 323, 244, and 351. So what is, on the defensive side, wow, Browns are only allowing 181.7 passing yards a game. The Vikings should be playing from behind in this game, causing them to throw a bit more. Justin Jefferson and Thielen are fantastic. You got KJ Osborne in there now. Madison has shown he's been able to catch the ball if he's going to get a lot more work. If Cook is not completely healthy, 284.5. He's done it 2 out of the 3 games. Yeah, I'll take the more here for Kirk. I think he's looked good passing the ball, and I think they're going to need to this game. All right, going back to the Cowboys-Panthers game, we have Sam Darnold over or under 271.5 passing yards. So if we look at it, Darnold has thrown 296 yards a game. So that is over. How many times has he hit that line? Every single time. 279, 305, 304. The Dallas Cowboys defense is not great. They have allowed the second most passing yards per game in the league with 331. Give me that more for Sam Darnold. Him and DJ Moore are going to connect a lot this game. And then finally, Alvin Kamara. He's been kind of hit and miss. He had a fantastic week last week, so 79.5 rushing yards. So Kamara is averaging 59 rush yards a game because he does it, but he's kind of more of a dual threat type back. So it's always a little harder, but so I don't know if he gets that. So in his last 3, he's hit that 2 or 3 times. So 89 rush yards, 5 rush yards, and then 83 rush yards. So that's a little more difficult. Looking at his matchup, the Giants are allowing 107 rush yards per game. Kamara is currently really the only running back that the Saints have. So 79.5. Is he going to get that on the Giants? That's a tough one. I think it's extremely close. He's getting 17 carries a game, 3.4 yards per carry. I can see him getting a lot of work this game because who else do they have on the offensive side of the ball? And if they're 7-point favorites, they don't need to be passing a whole bunch, so let them rush. He can easily break one. I'll take more. I'll take the more here for Alvin Kamara to close out this big 500 times buy-in, more or less, matchup. All right, so to read this off, we're going Patrick Mahomes, more than 310.5 passing yards. Josh Allen, under 289.5 passing yards. Derrick Henry, under 122.5 rush yards. Travis Kelce, more than 95.5 receiving yards. Dak Prescott, less than 285.5 passing yards. Stephon Diggs, less than 87.5 receiving yards. Nick Chubb, more than 83.5 rush yards. Kirk Cousins, more than 284.5 passing yards. Sam Darnold, more than 271.5 passing yards. And Alvin Kamara, more than 79.5 rushing yards. So that'll do it for Prop Talk here. We're going to be featuring Monkey Knife Fight pretty much every time we do this. And if you want to get in on this action, please use our link in the description to sign up for Monkey Knife Fight. New users will get their initial deposit matched up to $100. So free money. Why not take it? So best of luck, everyone, and we'll see you next time.